Hi, everybody.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Maurice wanted to see everybody's faces. Surprise! It's so nice to see you
Hey,
guys
Jen.
here.
Hey, babe. What's going on? Eleanor, how are you, babe? All right,
So,
cool.
I'm Glynis Carpenter with Shine, and we are so happy to have Maurice Brown here, who's been a stand-up for 9 years. And he was in a movie with Jen, who's on here, shout out, called Love Different, a faith-based comedy. And Love Different was an award-winning movie, so that is a really cool credit. And Maurice also does regular comedy online on Facebook and Zoom, so you can check out his page and follow him there.
Yes.
And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Maurice.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Maurice Brown. Let's hear it for Glynis Carpenter, everybody. How about it for Glynis? So it's great to see you guys. I'm glad you tuned in. And, you know, how's everybody doing out there during this COVID-19 thing? It's crazy. Good stuff. Thumbs up, everybody. That's good. I tell you right now, this stuff right now is crazy with the COVID-19, especially for comedians, for someone like me. And I know asking that question is like asking a prisoner in a jail cell, hey, how you doing in there? Okay? I know it's difficult, but we're going to get through this. God is going to bring us through this. And it's really tough for comedians, though, right now. But my wife informed me of really good news recently, everybody. She said, honey, get this. Honey, we have enough money for the rest of our lives. How about that? Yes, we just have to die tonight. Be fine. By 6 p.m. We'll be fine. Yeah, it's not that bad, everybody, but we're doing great. We're doing great. But yes, I've been a comedian. I started in 2010, but I joined AMTC, which is now Shine, in 2013, where I had a chance to meet some awesome people like Jen Gotson Chandler. And you know, it's just been a great experience for me, being associated with Shine and being a stand-up comic. I'm a clean comedian, so it's very difficult to go out. Well, it was. Let me tell you this story. Derek Morgan was a coach with AMTC, and I had in my mind, I'm only going to go to churches and do comedy. Hey, Ma, there's my mom. Hey, Mom, good to see you, Ma. So I said, I'm only going to go to churches. And Derek Morgan said, hey, listen, Maurice, what you need to do is you need to go out to the world. Everybody needs to see what you have to say. Let everybody see your comedy. So I started going to every venue in the world where they're using profanity and all these type of things and so forth. And so usually when I perform, I'm the only clean comedian there, which is quite a challenge. But you know, if you stay true to who you are, God always gives you the ability to stand tall and stand for Him. And so I've been in some of the darkest places you can imagine doing comedy, but thank God I've been able to, hold my own and do pretty well. So this is what I normally do, and I go to a lot of open mics in Washington D.C. and do stand-up comedy, and God's been very good for me. Is there anybody out there that is interested in stand-up comedy? Like Cameron, are you interested in being a comedian? Okay, awesome stuff. Cameron, have you ever done stand-up comedy? Okay, twice. Is there any way we can unmute Cameron, Glynis, any way at all?
How's that?
Oh, there you go, Cameron. Yeah, Cameron, dude, so tell me a little bit about your experience as a comic.
You want to talk?
No.
I've done very little real stand-up. I've done a lot of theater, so it kind of falls in the same category.
Okay.
One of my only experiences doing proper stand-up was at AMTC.
Okay, interesting stuff. That's very interesting. How about Kenneth? Kenneth, Wait, never tried it before? Okay.
I'm interested, but never done it before.
You never done it before. Okay, I understand. Okay. Anybody else out there that's ever tried it? Jen, I know Jen, you have not done comedy, but you were very funny in the movie Love Different. Everybody, you got to check that out on Amazon Prime, christiancinema.com, and PureFlix. We did that film in 2016, and Jen was hilarious in her role in Love Different. She did a great job, for sure. But I know that you've never done stand-up, Jen, but you're a very good actress. But anybody else? Jacqueline, have you ever tried stand-up?
No, I just have done monologues,
Okay.
comedy, and I've made a movie, a comedy. So, but I haven't done stand-up. But I love comedy.
Hey, thumbs up for the love. Hey, Billy, so you raised your hand there, Billy. So I guess you may have tried it before.
I have. Yeah, I actually took a class, and the graduation part of the class was we all performed our stand-up in a club in Boston.
Okay.
And it was a really good experience. It was a really fun experience. I kind of got that love for it. But what was funny about it is it was an incredible learning experience because it was my first time on stage. So that comedic voice that I thought I was going to be turned out to be totally different. So I walked off that stage kind of realizing like, wow, I thought my voice was going to be A, it's Z. I had no idea. And that's the direction I went in, but then COVID.
Okay. Right. Well, you know, Billy, you had an interesting experience. You kind of dipped your toe into the waters and found out it's kind of frigid in there.
Yeah, definitely.
It
definitely.
is. Well, it is. And, you know, it takes a long time to really develop, you know, a style. And that's really, Billy, what you're talking about is a voice that, quite frankly and honestly, takes years to develop. And it's you go through a lot of ups and downs, and unfortunately, you bomb a lot.
Yeah.
Billy, I bombed a lot, dude. When I started, I bombed every time I went on stage when I started. And then I got to the point where I was, you know, doing okay. Like there's my beautiful wife right there. She can nod her head and she knows I bombed. But anyway, that's Eleanor Brown, my wife there. So after a while, Billy, I started to get better and the bombings decreased. But I still wasn't killing. You know, I was just doing okay. And then I got to the point where I started to kill from time to time. And the bombings decreased even more, and I'm still doing decent more. Now, fast forward to COVID-19, I've been in the comedy business for 7 strong years. I've been around it for 10 to 13, but I've been in it for 7 strong years. So fast forward to COVID-19, I was in Miami, and my wife gave me a pass. She said, just go do comedy. Just go do comedy every day, you know, if you have fun, right? So I went out for 8 nights in a row, and I had 6 great nights and 2 poor nights. Matter of fact, one of the nights, everybody, there was 2 girls who almost got into a fist fight, believe it or not. They were drinking too much, and I had to, as a comic, it is on you to overcome the room, no matter what happens. You have to overcome that, and I wasn't able to overcome that. That was a bit much for me. I tried, but it didn't work out. Long story short, I had a great run in Miami, and then I came back to DC, and then a week later, you know, COVID-19 shut everything down, and you know, I've just been sitting around now, you know, just doing IG lives. The way I love doing this because I can see people, praise God, and I can actually do a little bit of comedy and have fun talking and interacting with people. But, you know, if we're a comic at Billy, it's crushing to not be able to get out there in front of crowds, you know, live crowds, and all kinds of things happen, Billy, that you have to learn how to navigate through because, you know, I was telling Glynis before we started, I could be at a restaurant performing, someone can drop dishes or drop a glass or something like that. And, you know, I've gotten to the point now, it doesn't bother me. if a person is heckling me, well, they'll try to heckle me. I will interact with that person and carry them all the way. I learned, this is a learned skill. It took years to develop, but I will interact with that person and I will carry them to my punchline. And usually they'll sit down because they become very interested in where I'm going, and also they don't want to be the punchline. And so they'll sit down. But that's just an example of what you learn from being a stand-up comedian. You have to have thick skin. It hurts. You know, people give you a hard time. You go through all and you have to, when it's over, you have to be willing to just, you know, flick it off and say, well, I'll be back tomorrow. But Billy, I love the fact that you tried it. You've dipped your toe into the waters, and so you have an idea. So when we get back, Billy, you got to promise me you're going to go back out there and go after it and go out as much as you can. Do you promise, Billy?
I promise. I can't wait. Honestly, can't wait.
Amen, brother. Amen. I tell you, I don't know about you guys. The COVID-19 has taught me patience, everybody. Patience. I don't know about you. Jen, what has COVID-19 taught you, Jen, as far as, you know, this experience? What has it taught you?
Oh, there's the unmute button. I think COVID has taught me how to be able to be, this might sound crazy, but to be creative and entrepreneurial in a space where we don't have the opportunity to go out and do what we normally do.
Okay.
How do I get creative? I spend time praying in my prayer journal time, and then God will give me ideas, and then I try to be honoring to those ideas. But my husband and I are pregos, or I'm pregnant with, and we're in our third trimester now, and so this has opened up a whole new door of goodness, and it's interesting.
Yes.
With COVID, you can't go anywhere. You're just here. So it's being present and trying to be honoring with where God is leading to be creative.
Right. How many months are you now, Jen?
We're 7.5 months along.
Okay. I love it. I love it. You know, my wife and I, we watched Farmer and the Belle, and it was awesome. That's an awesome film. That's actually going to be released on what date, Jen?
So November 17th is our street date that it'll come to stores. And hopefully by August, we'll know what broadcasters, like what television stations are going to pick it up. And QVC is also going to be releasing our merchandise. So all of the ancillaries. So all of that happens this Christmas season.
Awesome. Awesome. Can't wait till that's released. And,
yay. Thank you. We've been delivering the film. That's been our first baby.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jen, for sharing. McKen David, talk to me a little bit, brother. Have you ever tried stand-up comedy?
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Yeah. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 2 years now. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice. So you've actually been doing it. Okay. So how's it been going for you?
Yes. I'm quite lucky because I've been reading about it and I've been watching people before I started. So I knew what I was going into. I knew, okay, this is what I should do. This is what I should do, because in everything I do, I like to stand out. So I need that to stand out. I have to act like this. I have to behave like this. I have to talk this way. Yeah. So it's been great for me. So when I finally came out, people were like, "Oh, who is this guy? Who's this different guy? Who's this special guy? Where did he come from? Who trained him?" You know?
Yes. Amen, brother. Well, hang in there, McKen. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, McKende or McKen. Mackenday.
Yeah.
Hang in there. You're at that point of the 2 years where, okay, this is starting to become interesting. I'm starting to learn some things. I'm starting to figure some things out, you know?
Yeah.
And you're at that, you are probably, Mackenday, at an exciting point of your comedy where you're starting to see some things, and now it's time to investigate, Mackenday, what you're learning. You're getting ready to go to that next level, you know. There's a little bit more pain involved, Mackenday, but you're going to be fine. 2 years is good. That's good.
Trust
I
me,
love it, man. God bless you.
I've seen a lot of pain. Trust me.
What's that?
I said, trust me, I've seen a lot of pain in the 2 years. I've seen a lot of pain.
Believe me, everybody. I don't know if Nancy, have you ever done comedy? Nancy Berg. I think she's totally on mute, Glynis. Okay.
I asked her to unmute. She's got it now.
I got it. No, I don't have to be the comedian, because I have a young sister that she wants to steal the show. She's the one that, you know, she's one of these sisters that she'll go to the doctor with me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she'll be in the waiting room. And when I come out, she'll have a crowd of people all around her, where she's talking to them, and she's got the stage, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, she's the comedian in the
Okay, so she's got all the bases covered for you.
Yes.
All right, Nancy, that's good. Well, I'm asking everybody, what did you learn from COVID-19? And I tell you, I learned patience, everybody. I learned patience from COVID-19. I did. Someone stole a car out of my yard the other day, and I did not get mad. I did not get mad. I ran out of the house and I was chasing the car, and I said, well, wait a minute, that's my next door neighbor Mitch's car. I went home. I let it go. Everybody, I let it go.
Well, I've got a long way to go. I'm not patient. I'm just not. Only thing I don't like is the fact that I can't see my soaps. You know, I just can't see my soap operas. I mean, I'm seeing the reviews, you know, the long time ago with things. But
yes,
one thing is good for me is in being an actor is that I'm getting all the free training, you know, with the you know, all the training on the self-taping and all that stuff. And plus, I've gotten into voiceover.
Oh, that's something that's can be very lucrative. That's very good.
So I'm in the class right now, and I'm
Amen.
getting my studio set up at home. Got my equipment. I've done my demos, so I'm getting together with that.
All right, Nancy, awesome. I'm glad you tuned in anyway. There's a lot you can learn from stand-up comedy, which can translate over into acting and voiceover and dancing, because it's all about performing.
Yes.
There's an interesting story that I can share with you about stage fright. Well, you know what? Well, I don't know if you guys ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's an actor there that was his first time doing theater. And so he went out just before the show started. And by the way, there's a bucket that they keep on the side for actors if they start to have, you know, a nervous attack and they need to, you know, go to the bucket. Up, Chuck. And so so when it was his time to go to the stage, as he's going to his mark on the stage, he looked at the crowd, and it was such a shock to him that he actually went to the bathroom on himself right there.
Poor thing.
And so it's just it's a terrible story, but it stage fright's a real thing, you know, and learning how to deal with, you know, that experience of looking at people and dealing with it. Comedy is a great teacher for overcoming stage fright, because you have to be in attack mode. A comedian has to be in attack mode or he won't survive. So when you learn, where's Mackenday? I don't know if Mackenday's still here or not, but he's not here. But you learn very quickly that if you're not in go mode, you can't survive on the stage. So, but it can help you in other parts of live performances. Whether you're acting, whether you're dancing, whatever you're doing, be in go mode. Be in go mode. So I want to switch gears, everybody, to the lucrative aspect of stand-up comedy. Does anyone out there have any idea who is the most lucrative stand-up comedian in the world? Anybody want to venture a guess? Oh, guys, come on, take a stab at it. Okay, Billy, what do you think? Who do you think it is?
I mean, I might be kind of biased because he's one of my favorites, but
Okay.
I think it was maybe a year or two ago. I'm not sure that he made like the most money. I don't know, but it was Sebastian Maniscalco.
He's an excellent comedian. Sebastian is a terrific performer. Not the answer, but he's good, and he's fairly clean. He's not 100% clean, but he's
Right.
very close to being a clean comic. Anybody else want to take a guess?
Capella?
Dave Chappelle. No, believe it or not. As
No.
Dave Chappelle actually might be the funniest comedian in the world right now, but he's not the most lucrative.
I'll take
William.
a guess for Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, Cameron? Nope, it's not Kevin Hart. He's up there, but it's not Kevin. William, did you want to take a stab at it?
Jerry Seinfeld.
There you go, William. My man. Jerry Seinfeld is the most lucrative comedian in the world. Now, the reason I mention that is because he's clean. He's a clean comic. And did you want to add something, William?
No, I'm just agreeing with you. That's all. That's clean.
Yeah. He's clean, and the distance between Jerry and the second person, which I think Cameron, you mentioned Kevin Hart, is huge, like about $600,000. He's almost a billionaire, Jerry Seinfeld, and he does it the clean way. So there's a lot of benefit, everybody, in doing comedy the clean way. Because at the end of the day, you can go anywhere and do stand-up. You can do stand-up comedy in front of kids. You can do it in front of any demographic, in any country. It's not hard. You can't go to another country using a lot of expletives, although a lot of comedians do that are in the secular world because, that's what they do. But people are not going to understand what you're saying. But if you just keep it simple, most people are going to understand and will be able to relate to you because we all pretty much go through similar experiences and so forth. And profanity is not necessary. So that's why I brought up Jerry Seinfeld. And believe it or not, everybody, Jerry Seinfeld, who is, he's Jewish, and we're not throwing stones at those that are Jewish at all. He happens to be Jewish, and he said, well, yeah, in my normal life, I use profanity all the time. So he just said that he didn't think the stage was a place for profanity, which is quite interesting. So in that aspect, believers in God, believers in Christ, we know that it's not profitable anywhere. Not just the stage. It's not profitable anywhere. That's a negative and dark thing. But the fact that he had the wherewithal and the presence of mind to understand that, hey, I'm performing and this is a place of class and, there's a proper way to do things. And guess what? God put him at the top. So I just thought I would throw it out. The thing about stand-up comedy being clean is that it makes you a real comedian. Like it's hard. You have to write. You have to be willing to write and then go up there and test it and see if people are going to like it. And a lot of times they don't like it until you figure out the joke, how you want to tell the joke. And that's the road that a lot of clean comedians have to go down. April, how are you, April?
Hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm in North
good.
Carolina, your own stopping ground.
Wow, where are you from in North Carolina?
Winston-Salem.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I am from Wilson, but I went to college at UNC Greensboro, which is right down the road from Winston-Salem.
Excellent school. Yeah, well, good.
So do you have any experience in comedy at all?
2. one at AMTC, and I fell flat. Yeah, that was horrible. And then I tried again at our community theater when we were doing a little impromptu Halloween. We called it Halloween, not Halloween. Halloween little event. And I tried it there, and I got a few laughs, but then that was it. I'm really an actress, but I do like comedy a lot. I like doing comedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for you, April. I mean, and I think that's something for every actor or actress to kind of have in their toolbox a little bit, you know, just to try it a couple of times because it will stretch you. And, I'll tell you a quick story. I was, as I've already said, I was in the film Love Different in 2016 with Jen Gotzon. And so here I am in this film. I want to be an actor as well, although comedy is what I do. I have interest in acting. And so adding to my comedy toolbox, I got to play a serious role. I was an antagonist. I was the bad guy. And the film, there was a very intense scene that required a lot of verbiage on my part, and it was very emotional and so forth. And so here I am in this scene with Jen Gotzon, who was in an Oscar-nominated film, Frost Nixon from 2008. I had to put you out there. Had to give you a quick little shout out there, Jen. So I'm working opposite Jen Gotzon, and then I got Tommy Ford on my other side. Tommy Ford, who was on the TV show Martin. He was the next door neighbor Tommy, who never had a job, and he's done Harlem Nights, and he's had his own comedy specials and on down the line. So I'm looking at these two people, and then Anthony Hackett, who's the director of the film and also the star of the film. And I'm in this intense scene, and I've never really done any acting. I was like, oh my gosh. I said, I have got to nail this scene, right? So we get it going, and we get through the whole scene, and everybody, I nailed it. Right, Jen? I nailed that scene.
Maurice,
and then, what's that?
Maurice,
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it, but it gets better, Jen. It gets better. So we get there, and I'm done, and they go, all right, let's do it again. I'm going, what? Again? So I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta do that again. So they wanted a different angle, and they wanted to try this angle. They wanted to try. Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen. I think we shot that 14 times.
Yeah,
I don't know. Am I right on that? I don't know, but it was a lot.
I think you're right on, and you dialed it in, Maurice. Each time you delivered it.
Well, that was a
cry, and it was great.
Yes.
Did you learn then never to do your hardest, best work on the first take? You're never supposed to be your best.
Yeah. April, that would have been good to know. Had I had any idea that something like that was going to happen. But the long and the short of it is you learn what professionalism is. You have to be good every time. You have to be on every time, and so that added a lot to my comedy. Believe it or not, Jen, it added a lot to my comedy toolbox just because whenever you're on that stage, you have to be on, and there's no regrets. So that was big for me, having that kind of pressure on me to perform well in their presence. That was a lot of pressure for me. It was very intense. And you're right, Jen, there was crying involved. I mean, Jen had to cry. Anthony cried. I got close to crying. I didn't have to. Thank God I didn't have to cry. But I mean, I did get close to the eyes. It was very intense. And so I did it a number of times. And that was a great experience. So, matter of fact, you can see behind me, that's the photo. This is the movie right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, Love Different. Awesome film. There's Jen right there. There's Anthony Hackett. He directed the film, and he was also the star of the film. So it was pretty awesome stuff. Becky, how are you? Becky Brown, good to see you.
Hi.
Becky, have you ever done stand-up?
I have never done stand-up, but I've been told that I'm really pretty funny and a kind of a clean Betty White type.
Okay, I like that. Betty White's hilarious. If you're anywhere near as funny as Betty White, you got to get on stage, Becky.
You know, it's that kind of ditzy type of person. I can play that pretty well.
Okay. Have you ever done any acting?
Oh yeah, yeah, and I've been in a comedy. I'm in a comedy that's on Amazon Prime right now called Beach Boys with 2 E's in it. So
okay.
And that's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm just kind of ditzy. That's me.
Okay, Becky, that's great. That's great. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm glad that you're hanging out with us. So anyway, guys, we're talking about this COVID-19. It's dominating the headlines, as we all know right now. Does anybody have a prediction out there as to when this stuff will wrap up and maybe we can get back to some type of new normal? Does anybody have a prediction? Kenneth, you want to take a stab at it?
Well, you know, I'm actually in Los Angeles, but I'm on. You know, I was hoping that it was going to be over by September. That was, you know, my thinking, because I started doing some things and then I stopped and I just kind of been studying acting on the side. But I don't know. I mean, I guess after you read about what's happening in Texas and Florida, I guess it's a new world. So
yeah,
it's going on much longer or farther than I thought that it was going to ever go. So you're right. It's a little frightening. I mean, your wife made a joke about we got enough money forever. I tell you, I got, you know, by 2021, somebody better be doing something. I mean, you know,
yeah.
it's going to have an impact on the economy. I just really think that the economy is going to really be just taking a hit. That's why I don't agree with the Republicans. You know, we got to get the economy going back, because I think people's health, and I think a lot of people have died. This thing can really spin out of control, and it already has. But I do see there's going to be a big, major impact. And I don't mind saying that's why I want Biden to win this time for sure, because I think he's a little more caring. But I would just say that, you know, people are going to need money, and people are running out of money, and they're going to need some help. So I just really think that, you know, the tax returns are not going to be big for 2021 whenever people pay their taxes, and it's going to affect a lot of programs. And so I see a lot of impact coming. So you know, if it doesn't change soon, we could be in for. But you know, God speaks even during difficult times, and whenever there was a famine, He took care of Christians, and so we have to be prepared.
Well, Kenneth, I love what you just said there. God is going to get us, like, we're going to go back to normal again. I fully believe that. Now, when, I don't know, but God is in control, as it says in Proverbs, or I should say Psalm 29, God sits above the flood. So He is king, and we'll be back, you know, in His good time. We just have to hold on. As Christians, we know that God is good, and we know that He's in control and He's going to take care of us. We just have to sit back and relax and let God do what He needs to do. So it'll be fine. I love what you said there, Kenneth. Does anyone have anything to be thankful about during this? Cameron, do you have anything that you're thankful about?
I'm thankful that I'm still getting paid. I started a teaching job last year. It was my first time teaching theater full time, and I'm under contract. So this is really the first time in my life that this would not have been a huge issue. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah, well, I'm thankful for something. COVID-19 has made me thankful for something. For the first time in 15 years, everybody, get this, for the first time in 15 years, my coworker, before leaving the bathroom,
washes his hands.
There you go. He washed his hands, Becky. How about a round of applause, everybody, for that? You got to love it. Wow. I tell you.
I have to say that I'm really thankful that just the other day I saw a Christian doctor's interview.
Yes.
From Texas, and he said that he has been using budesonide, which is a corticosteroid, so it's an asthma medication.
Okay.
And he's using that for people who have COVID, and none of his patients have died. None.
Wow. That's interesting. That's a great blessing. That's a great blessing.
I guess you have to use it with a nebulizer, but I also Googled it, and they said that yes, the people who have asthma have a much lower death rate for the COVID, and it's because of their using of the asthma medications.
Amen. Praise the Lord. That's a great praise report right there, Becky. Thank you for adding that. William just said from his iPhone, he's thankful that radio disc jockeys are essential personnel. I'm happy about that too, William. We need that. We need the radio guys to keep working. So guys, let me just share this with you as far as your material. When you're doing stand-up comedy, know your material. Like if you ever go to an open mic, I don't know if any of you got, Billy, do you ever go to open mics?
I tried to back when I was in my class, but then unfortunately I ended up getting sick. But I've been to an open mic. I have not performed at an open mic, but I've been to it. I've seen it and stuff like that. So yeah.
So open mics are kind of a necessary evil for comedians. It's like, it's just something that's available. It's Cameron, I don't know if you do this or not, but it's readily available. You've been to one. They're readily available in most cities, most big cities like New York, Chicago, DC, Philadelphia, Houston, Los Angeles, Boston, Miami, huge cities like that usually have open mics all over the place. And I highly advise going out there. Now, North Carolina, where you are, April, or if you go out west to Nevada or Montana or someplace like that, chances are not high that you're going to find an open mic. And if you're a Black person, you won't find a barbershop. I'm only kidding. Thank God, I don't have the afro. Anyway, guys, I'm just kidding. So look, so here's the thing. Whenever you go to an open mic and you see someone holding this, that's not the way you prepare. Or they're looking at their cell phone and they're telling their jokes that way. Never treat an open mic like it's a real show, because then you get into the mindset of never depending on your material. Before I go on stage, guys, I'm gonna tell you this right now. 10 seconds. Hey, Darren, what's going on, man? How are you, buddy? I skipped over you, Darren. How are you, man? Everything okay?
I'm doing good over here in Indiana. How you guys?
Doing great, man. Are you a stand-up comedian?
I am. I've been doing it for a little while, off and on, here in Indiana. Didn't have the opportunity to get on stage much. Been trying to do it for about 12 years, but you can say about 2 years if you put it all together, as much as time I've been on the stage. So, yeah, right. My stage name is Uncle Bill. If you look, you might see me on a couple things. I try to get around, and I've been doing the clean, so I'm about
Uncle
the
Bill,
only one around here.
I gotta look for you. I gotta look for it. So I think it's interesting what you said, that you've been around it for 12, but you only count for 2. And I like that, because when you're I've been around comedy for like 14 to 15 years, but I've only dedicated 7 to it. Gotcha. And because there's a big difference between being around it and in it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You can't count those years you were just around. Right. Because it's not a block building thing.
Exactly.
But once you get in and the block building begins, you don't want to go back.
That's right.
You want those blocks to continue to build up, because the things that you learn are vital.
Yes, sir.
They're hugely vital. So in Indiana, what's the open mic situation like there?
Well, I was doing it here at Ball State every Wednesday night. They shut it down. I guess they weren't making enough money off the drinks. I don't know. But yeah. So now it's just Indianapolis area. I think they've got maybe 3 locations, and I think they're starting to hop off again.
So thank you, Darren. So what I was going to say is that when you go on stage, I've said this to my wife many times, but 10 seconds, and McKinday, you may be able to piggyback on this, but 10 seconds before they announce my name, I always say to myself, how in the heck am I going to remember all of this? You know, because I have a ton of material, and, you know, it hits me every time. How am I going to do this? So you get up there, and then all of a sudden, you know, I'm in this zone. And I just don't get out of the zone. And I remember everything that I want to say from beginning to end, whether it's 10, 15, 30 minutes or more. I never forget a single word, and I can't explain it other than practice and preparation. You know, I'm writing incessantly, I'm testing, does this work, does that work? The block building has begun in earnest. You know, the experience is starting to add up so much that you can't even explain how prolific you are on the stage. Like, you can marvel at yourself. I've looked at my videos, and I've said many times as I'm watching myself on video, and I'm going, I do not look like I feel. Like, the adrenaline is going so high, but I look so calm on stage and composed. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, I don't feel the way I look. But you've done it so many times, and you've practiced so hard, you become seamless to the point where you can't even explain how seamless you've become, because you've practiced so much and you've dedicated so much to it, and you've poured so much of yourself and emotion into what you're doing. You know, and I tell my wife many times by the way, being physically fit counts a lot for performing, because I can tell you, after I've done a 15-minute show, an hour show, or whatever, I feel like I've run 10 miles. And you have this high when you step off stage, like, oh my gosh, you feel like, oh, I'm so invigorated. And then about an hour later, I mean, you're running your mouth and you're talking about all this, that, you're taking photographs, and, you know, oh man, everything's going on. And then about an hour and a half later, you just crash. You know, you're done. It's like running 10 miles. And so it's a physical fitness thing as well. Like, you have to be in fairly decent physical shape, cardiovascularly, to really do that as well, because it just drains the heck out of you. So comedy has a lot of layers to it. And I'll share this story with you guys real quick as well. Oh, I know I'm killing the time, Glynis. I apologize. Glynis, I guess I'll make this my last story, and I'll let you take
Don't
over
apologize.
I'll tell you this story.
I'm gathering questions for you, and whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the sketch comedy show Key and Peele, right? Maybe all of you are not, but Key and Peele is a very popular sketch comedy show, and they were invited to do a stand-up show in Los Angeles a few years ago with other dedicated comics. They keep in mind now, they're not stand-up comedians, but they're very funny with what they do. So they're at the arena, and one of the comedians is walking off stage, and Ari Spears happens to be the comedian. I don't know if you're familiar with Ari Spears or not, but he was killing. Ari Spears was killing. Got 15,000 people there in the arena. He's walking off the stage. He looks at Key and Peele, and he goes, "You guys are going up there together? Good luck." Right? So they go up there, and by the way, I think his name is Michael Keegan Key, the taller one of the two, is telling this story about this experience. So they get up there, and they think they're going to do their stuff they do on TV. It wasn't 10 seconds that had gone by, guys, before a whole section of about 900 in the arena started to rain down boos on them, right? This is Key and Peele. I mean, everybody loves Key and Peele, right? And now they're starting to get booed, right? And they were supposed to do 20 minutes, and they only lasted 9 because the entire arena booed them off the stage, right? And so the lesson in the story by Michael Keegan Key was, people can smell from a mile away whether or not you know what you're doing. It didn't matter that they were famous. They were there to do stand-up comedy, and they didn't know how to do stand-up comedy, and they paid the price. You know, so what I'm saying to you guys is there's a method to this thing called comedy. It's like it's like you have to really know what you're doing when you go on that stage, because if you don't, people are going to smell it. They're going to smell it, and it's going to be bad. And that's when the hecklers come out, and that's when people they'll ignore you, and they'll start having their personal conversations. They're not even looking at you, and so many crazy things happen to a lot of comedians because it's a learning process, and it's a very painful learning process. So what I'm saying, long story short, you can't do stand-up comedy if you don't love it. If you don't love it, you won't survive, and you'll stop, which is a good way to find out whether or not you want to do it. But I love it. I absolutely love it. And I've been through a lot of bad experiences, but I just love doing it. I just love trying to make people laugh and going for it and having fun. And then if you can just weather that, you get, when people come up to me and they go, "Hey, I want to be a comic," I never say, maybe you should rethink it. It's not really that simple. I just say, go for it. Because then they'll find out on their own whether or not they want to do that. You know, and there's nothing like a personal experience. Like, you'll know if you want to feel that again. It's something you feel like, oh, rejection hurts. And so I never discourage people from trying comedy. That's when you really find out whether or not you want to do it. I'm actually from Muncie, about 40 minutes south, but I spend most of my time in Indy from Darren. But guys, anyway, I had like a ton of things that I really want to say. As you can tell, I can run my mouth for quite a long time. But so I don't want to bludgeon the time that's been allotted for this session. So Glynis, I'm gonna turn it over to you for Q&A.
All right, awesome. I've been keeping your questions. Kenneth asks, how do you write a joke? What is your process?
Oh, that's a great question. Writing a joke is being mindful of conversations that you have that are funny. It's like you can say something funny, I mean wildly funny, hysterical. And there's my beautiful wife, Eleanor. She can tell you, we talk all the time, and she says funny things all the time. And I steal a lot of jokes from my wife. Oh, babe, wait a minute, hold on, let me write this down. Get my phone out. So you got to do that. You know, you got to write that stuff down, newspaper articles, stuff you see on TV. Then if you know people that are interesting, like they're very interesting people, and they're always saying something wildly funny or very odd, go find them, you know. Yeah, I got to go talk to Chuck. Chuck isn't it? Talk to Chuck for like 50 minutes. That's your homework. Chuck thinks you love him, but you're just doing your homework. Okay, but I'm just saying, talking to people that are funny helps as well to build material. And I'll use Jerry Seinfeld as an example one more time. As you guys can tell, I love Jerry Seinfeld because he's just the consummate pro. He's just a consummate pro. If you are a Christian performer, Jerry Seinfeld is a great model. Even though he's not a Christian, he's clean and he's got tons of class. That's what you want. So Jerry Seinfeld, he put up this giant white piece of paper on his wall at home, and every day he would write a joke. He would write the joke, and then in red, a red marker, he would put an X over the joke to mark the day. I did this for about 1.5 years. My wife helped me out. She put up this white paper, and I did it for about 1.5 years, and I ended up with over 500 to 600 jokes, half of which I used because I wrote a lot of dumb jokes. But you know, the process of just write it, just write a joke every day, and then all of a sudden I ended up with this huge library of jokes that I can pull at any time and throw into a routine. So that's one, and to the point now where I really don't need to do that anymore because I have so many jokes that I have compiled by doing that. not to mention all the other methods that I use by talking to people and being mindful to take notes and put them on my phone or jot them down or what have you.
I love that. The regular practice, that's so important.
Yes, yes, it is.
In every art form.
In every art form, yes.
Cameron asks, can you discuss being a host as it relates to stand-up comedy?
Well, I've hosted a lot of shows and I produce shows, family-friendly shows. So being a host is a lot of work. That's another skill set. You know, you have to be able to come out, tell jokes, loosen the crowd up. So you're coming out to a cold audience and you have to be the one to loosen them up so we can get the show going and bring comedians out. And in between each comedian, you have to go out and keep it moving. I could bring a comedian out and he could bomb, for example. Well, I got to go out there and get them back. And that's not easy. You know, you got to go out there and you got to fight away, you know, to do it. I was invited to, and this is a little bit off topic, but I have to tell the story of dealing with hard rooms. I was invited to do a deaf comedy jam, a black room, a deaf comedy jam room. And a buddy of mine invited me and I went over there. Being a clean comic, I was a little bit, you know, intimidated, like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do this one, you know, clean comedy, they're really getting it in over here. But anyway, I watched a lot of other comedians go up and they were bombing. And I went up there and I bombed. But I got them on the last joke. I mean, I got the entire room on the last joke and left with some dignity because while I was bombing, I was analyzing the room. And I was trying to figure out what can I say to make these people like me, for goodness sakes, right? So I started, and then I finally figured it out, and I had the whole room in stitches. And of course, that's when I left, because you want to leave on a high note. But anyway, and then I got to share this story too, Glynis, and then I'll let you get to the next question. I produced shows as a host, and I invited a comic to headline. So I put him in a hotel and all this stuff. So when he got to the venue, when we met each other, he said, "You're black." I said, yes, I've been black a long time, you know, but he thought I was a white guy, right? So he has a set for a white crowd. And we walk into the venue, nothing but black people everywhere, wall to wall. So he goes up there, look, and he starts to bomb. And I'm going, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. And as about two of them, my wife can attest to this, after about 2 or 3 minutes, he kind of did the same thing. He looked at the crowd and he flipped the tables and he destroyed for 20 minutes. He slayed. And oh my gosh, that was absolutely amazing. It was a white guy from Indiana, did not have that kind of a background, but he had been in the comedy game for 17 years. And that's the building block process. After a while, you can overcome almost anything. It just takes a while to build that skill set. I know that was a little off topic, Glynis. Sorry about that, but it's kind of related.
You actually answered one of another question that Cameron had. That was perfect.
Awesome.
2 for 1. William asks, as a radio show host and hopefully one day a TV talk show host, I need to develop the skill to deliver jokes that I may or may not write. Any advice on that?
I would say try stand-up comedy. Because if that's your goal, to be humorous, and you know you want to be able to have a joke-telling ability or skill, I seriously, I would suggest doing some stand-up. I mean, you know, April's tried it a couple of times. Billy's tried it. You know, they got their feet wet. You know, I would highly advise just trying it at least a few times and just jump in the water and just see what it feels like. And that will teach you or begin to cause you to develop a joke writing skill. and you'll get a much better idea of how to implement that in a talk show or radio talk show format.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Stuart, this is a funny one for today. Stuart
Okay.
asks thoughts on doing Zoom shows where you don't get immediate audience response.
Right. Well, I'm going to do my first one on Thursday. I did one in March, and it was not cool because I just it was a pre-recorded set that my daughter video recorded, which, hey, Stuart, what's happening, brother? My daughter recorded it, and of course, she was just so joyful. And anyway, so she recorded it, and then I submitted the video, and they played it all back in a designated day. I said, I ain't never doing that again. You know, no audience interaction. I said, I'm never doing it again. So I have some comedy friends now that are doing this kind of format on Zoom. They're doing comedy. At least you have faces. I love being able to see you guys. That's better than what they were doing before. Of course, this is not the same as an audience. Like we're all in that ain't the same thing. As a matter of fact, I had a friend who did comedy for the first time ever on a Zoom show. And he was like, oh, I finally did stand-up comedy. Yes. And another comic said, you have not done stand-up comedy yet. You don't get a pass for doing comedy on a Zoom show. It's not the same thing, believe me. I mean, Darren can tell you, Cameron can tell you, April can tell you, Billy can tell you, it ain't the same thing. So, but it's better than just talking to a phone. So like I said, and I don't know when this COVID-19 is going to allow life to go back to normal, everybody. I don't know when it's going to happen. I mean, my guess, unfortunately, and I really hope I'm wrong, is that we won't go back until like deep into 2022. I really hope I'm wrong about that. But I just don't see that happening. So I have to do this. And Thursday's going to be my, my maiden voyage into Zoom. So, and I'm just going to do that, until we get back. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it.
Maybe if everyone knows they're going to be unmuted, they can be in quiet places and then they could laugh for Zoom.
Yeah. Well, that's been the complaint. The other comics that do Zoom, say that, it's kind of complicated because people can mute and unmute themselves. And, when you're in a crowd, like a live audience, laughter has a domino effect. So if a group starts laughing here, another whole section will start laughing just because they're laughing. And then another section will start laughing because they feel like it went over their head, so they don't want to look like it went over their head, so they start laughing, and so laughter breeds laughter, when everybody's together. So it's not the same. Zoom is definitely not the same thing. But again, it's better than what it was.
Absolutely. April has 2 questions. I'm just going to give them to you both. She says, how do you find subjects on which to write your material, and do you write out your script completely?
I do. Jen, thanks for stopping by, Jen. I understand Jen Gotson had to leave, but she sends her best to everybody. I write it out. I'll sit there, and this is my writing process, which I didn't add, but if I know I'm going to perform on said day, I will write my entire, this is another reason why I get into these zones and I don't forget anything. I will write a set, I might write a complete set 10 times from beginning to end, maybe 15. I will write or type the entire thing ad nauseum until I have a synergy and I become one with that routine. And when you get to that point, anything can happen out of the ordinary, and you can adapt to it and adjust to it and implement it into what you're doing. Or, you can do all kinds of things. Once you have your set completely in your head, you can do wonders with it. And so writing is my process. You cannot be lazy when it comes to stand-up comedy or you won't survive. You'll quit.
Maurice, Billy asks, in addition to doing stand-up, should aspiring comedians take acting classes?
Yes, I would absolutely say take an acting class. I would suggest trying to do comedy improv if you get the opportunity to do it. But I will say this as one caveat, and Darren, you may agree with this because you've been doing it a while. Mockinday has been doing it a while, and that is once you've done comedy for a while, because I think comedy is the purest art form of entertainment that exists, purely, without a doubt. If you ever get to the point where you are someone that can swim in comedy for a while, you automatically build a skill set of acting. Yes. It's an automatic thing, you know, and whatever else you want. If you want to sing or whatever, I mean, if you're a terrible singer, you'll just sing terribly, but you'll do that. I mean, you'll do anything. If you're able to do stand-up comedy, you can do just about anything. Just like my opportunity to be in Love Different in 2016. I mean, I had to do a heavy scene, emotional scene with a lot of verbiage, and I had to shoot it 14 times. You know, but my stand-up comedy experience gave me the ability to weather that and act, you know, on an acceptable level. So I would definitely say taking an acting class would be a good thing, but it's not a necessary thing. Comedy will teach you how to do a lot just by itself. You just have to be willing to keep going up there and keep getting up there and keep going up there, even when it wasn't so good. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Oh man, I bombed. Just keep going, keep going, keep. And you get to the point where it's like, oh man, I'm not even bombing anymore. You know, that's what is that? What is bombing? One side thing too, Glynis. Jerry Seinfeld said, oh, this is what blew me away in comedy early. Jerry Seinfeld says, you are not a comedian unless you can kill 10 out of 10 times. And I went, well, that's it for me, honey, let's go. I'll never be able to do that. I was like, that's impossible. How? And then the longer I started doing it, and I saw that the bombings were starting to decrease. And then all of a sudden I started to kill more. And I was at that point where it's like, oh my gosh, I could literally kill you get the feel, your confidence level. Darren, you know what I'm saying? Your confidence level gets to the point where you feel like I'm going to kill. And so that mindset does develop, but it takes a while.
Actually, Maurice, I have one more question, but I asked Glynis if I could actually ask you because I have to kind of explain it.
Okay.
I usually don't swear normally, and if I do, it sounds very foreign for me. So I fall right into that clean comic genre and that area. And I have to admit something. I want to know if you have any advice, because one of my all-time favorite comedians, he's passed away now, is Don Rickles.
I love Don Rickles.
And night after night, I watch a lot of the really old, I watch like Johnny Carson, the Dean Martin roasts. Those, you know, in addition, those are the ones I look at now. Growing up, my friends and I, you know, even in my family, I've always been the funny one. And that has been I've had and I'm not comparing myself to him whatsoever because he's totally up here. But I have always fallen very naturally into that comedy like Don Rickles. If a lot of my family and friends know that if I tease or if I'm joking, or a lot of my sisters-in-law will look and be like, I wonder what Billy thinks, but they're kind of waiting for my funny reaction to things. And I guess being a clean comic and even a Christian, how do you actually dip your toe into insult comedy? Because that's what they kind of call Don Rickles. He was that insult comic.
Well, Billy, that is an awesome question, my man. I'm going to tell you right now. Don Rickles is kind of an enigma, though, because he's not, he doesn't use profanity, but he Don Rickles, I've watched him insult every race on the earth with great passion. and nobody gets mad. It's just a great skill set that man developed where he could absolutely berate and insult you, and for some reason, you get the feeling that he's only joking. And
Yes.
and it's just a muscle that he developed over years and years and years. And in fact, I think he told a story once because someone asked him, has anyone ever threatened to hurt you? Because he's performed around a lot of mafioso guys, hanging out with the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, and all those guys. And you know, he goes, hey, is that your wife? Whoa. You know, you know, you know, he would insult guys. So after the show, the guy was waiting outside his dressing room. This great big mafioso guy. And he said, okay, well, tonight's the night it finally caught up to me. And the guy just wanted to get his autograph. And the guy's wife was right there with him. So Billy, it is a skill set that can be mastered, but it's one that you have to dedicate yourself to and commit yourself to, and you can get it done. I mean, Don Rickles is a great example of someone that can pull that off. But there are not many people, and I mean, I'm serious. There are not. That's why I call him an enigma. It's just like, he's just amazing. Don Rickles is just amazing.
Right. Right. 'Cause I know he said once too that he does it all out of love. I watched him in an interview. He said, I say it all out of love. Again, that's what I admired about him, because he's pointing out the not, I don't want to say imperfections, but I think everybody knows what I mean. Sometimes serious things or whatnot, but at the end we can all laugh, and that laughter is that medicine. It brings us through. Like COVID-19, my look on it and how I got through it mostly, and helping my family, was I was the funny guy. I was the comedian of the family. You know, things that I've seen throughout my day. So I just sometimes I struggle with that, to bring that out on stage, or to do that sort of thing. And as hopefully we get back, I was just kind of thinking of hopefully a way or getting that to be portrayed, but portrayed really out of love, just to say, let's laugh, let's get through this.
Well, Billy, I'll say this, and if that's your slant, if that's where you're going, man, I totally applaud you, and I support that, because it can be done. Don Rickles loved people. He was not an evil man at all.
Right.
And so you can do it. A comic told me once in the beginning, when I got off stage and things did not go particularly well, the comedian, she said, "Maurice, you committed." Yes. and I learned that if you're going to do this, man, don't have any regrets. If whatever avenue, whatever road or street you decide to go down, hit the gas. Whatever style. There's so many different styles, but whatever style you choose or road you decide to go down, hit the gas with no regrets and let it rip, Billy. And you can do it. You can do it.
Yep. No, thank you, Maurice. that does help me and focus me in that. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Amen. Amen, Billy. I can see you're coming from a place of love, man. You can do it, man. You can definitely do it.
That was such an awesome question.
It
we
was.
have two more questions we're going to hit, Maurice, and then we won't take any more of your time. Darren asks what you think about all the memes on Facebook and Instagram. Do you feel they hurt the plight of the stand-up comic? Do they hurt stand-up comedy?
Well, I don't know if he means it as far as when you're performing on Zoom and then they put all the memes or what have you. But I don't know quite how to respond to that one, Glynis, because I'm kind of a computer dummy and all that stuff. So with the memes, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know if you can explain his question a little bit more specifically, but I'll say this, Glynis, based on what I think he's saying. You know, the emojis, if you're doing comedy, it doesn't do it for a comedian. It doesn't mean anything, because I can't hear you laughing. I can't see you. The fact that you gave me a thumbs up or a heart or, you know, the squeezing heart, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's nice that you did it. I mean, of course, that's good, but it falls so short of what a comic is looking for.
I personally really like memes, and I also love stand-up comedy, so I wouldn't feel that they would hurt stand-up comedy.
Oh no, they don't hurt. It's just as a comedian, it's like you want to hear everybody and everything. You know what I mean? That it's that high that the comic is looking for. You know, it's good if you get the memes. You know what I mean? But when you're doing comedy, you see all these hearts and all these things. You know, and that's nice. It is nice. But you know, the comedian is like, this doesn't fill the void for me. You know what I mean? The Zoom shows, a lot of comics are doing Zoom shows because we have to, but we feel like we're missing something, you know? But yeah, I mean, no, it's always good to get a good meme.
Nancy asks, how much does what you present depend on the audience?
Very little. It's all on the comedian. The comedian has to do the work. If I bomb, it was my fault. If things don't go well, it was my fault. It wasn't the demographic, it wasn't their age, it wasn't how hot it was in the room, it wasn't the acoustics of the sound. You know, it wasn't, oh, well, they had a bad day or their team lost the World Series. San Diego, I'm in San Diego, they lost the World Series. No. It's all on the comedian. And that's another skill set that you develop when you go into different rooms, just like I was at the Def Comedy Jam room. Well, had I walked off that stage and bombed entirely, it would have been my fault, you know. And in Washington, D.C., you have a very diverse population in Washington, D.C. It's a political town. It's politically correct. But there are all types of demographics and cultures in Washington, D.C. So on any given night, you can walk into a room that you have to adjust to, like, whoa, I did this set at that room last night and it killed, but that set will not kill here. And then you learn the hard way that, okay, you got to look at the demographic as soon as you walk in there and go, well, this is what I'm going to do tonight. And so you have to learn how to appease audiences or find the sweet spot, if you will. But it's 0 on the audience, 100 on the comedian.
That is such a good note to end on. Radical responsibility for your performance and how you're progressing. I love that.
Thank you, Glynis. Thank you. Thank you. It's been my pleasure to be with you guys. And let me just say thank you. It wasn't the demographic you mentioned coming from a place of love. Let me just say this, guys. You know, check me out on in the movie Love Different, which is the poster here on Amazon Prime or christiancinema.com or PureFlix. And you can follow me on Instagram at Maurice Brown Comedy Hour 2 or Twitter at Maurice_E_Brown or just Maurice Brown on Facebook, as well as my YouTube channel, which is Maurice Brown Comedy. And so those are the ways that, and you can also check if you're interested in contacting me for bookings, you can go to my website at mbecomedy.com. And coming up Monday and Tuesday, I do Instagram live shows every Monday and Tuesday. And this Monday, I'm talking with some local DC comedians, Leon Scott, TJ Ferguson, and Sophia Javed. And then on Tuesday, I got Cameron Arnett from the film I Still Believe and Overcomer, who happens to be a good friend of mine. And he's going to be on the show. He's done a ton of stuff. He's got a great background story, how he started out in the secular world and he got a chance to make a ton of money. And all of a sudden he decided he was going to do things God's way. And he left Hollywood. And now he's starting to build quite a following and presence in the Christian faith-based film industry. So he's going to be on at 12 noon on Instagram Live at Maurice Brown Comedy Hour 2. And then Lisa Gilbert at 4 o'clock, who's a comedian, clean comedian from I'm in Washington, D.C., from San Diego. So that's how you guys can follow me. I hope you'll tune in.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This was such an amazing session, Maurice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Glynis. It was my pleasure. Love you guys at Shine. God bless everybody. May the peace of Christ, everybody, be with you and your families. God bless you.